Good afternoon, everyone. This is County Executive Pat Ryan. Thank you for joining us for our COVID and vaccination update. We have some good news to share on our progress on both of those fronts. And then also, please stay tuned to the end because we have some other really positive big news to share and reason to celebrate as we make our way through spring and get towards summer here. So we'll keep it quick, but overall, very good news on multiple fronts today. Again, I think the reason for that's important for everyone to keep in mind are that vaccines work, that the science behind them has validated that, and we're now seeing it on the ground, that as we continue to see our vaccination numbers go up, and we're right around 70%, just under 70% of our adults now vaccinated, and we are now significantly below 1% for new positive rates of COVID, and those two are absolutely connected and linked, so we have to continue to get everyone else vaccinated and make that progress. Diving in by the numbers, total cumulative cases since the beginning of the pandemic are at 15,174. Well over 389,000 tests completed now of Ulster County residents, almost 15,000 recovered, and we do still continue to suffer loss of life and fatalities due to COVID, and we're now at 263 of our Ulster County friends, relatives, co-workers, loved ones that we've lost to this virus, and all the more reason that we have to redouble our efforts in terms of vaccinations and getting fully through this pandemic. Hospitalization numbers are headed in the right direction. We are now down to 4 hospital beds in Ulster County with COVID patients, one of them in an ICU bed, and that continues to trend downward in the right direction. The active case count numbers are essentially the lowest they've ever been in reality. We're now at 49 active COVID cases in all of Ulster County. You can see that very steep drop on the graph, which absolutely, once again, absolutely coincides with reaching significant percentage of our population vaccinated and seeing the vaccines really do their work at scale across the county and across our region. So hopefully we'll continue to see that tick down closer and closer and closer, of course, to zero. But until we get everyone fully vaccinated, number one, we'll still have some of the current variants of COVID, but the bigger worry is that another variant could emerge, which could potentially be resistant to current vaccines. And so that is the race that we're in, that we've been in, and that we need to continue to push so that we beat and reach herd immunity before the virus can create another variant that might be resistant. The new positive case numbers I mentioned earlier at the high level, but the specific numbers in the last 48 hours, we tested 1,509 residents and had just 11 of them come back positive. That is a 0.73% new positive rate. So that is very good news, and it hopefully sets us up for a similar dynamic that we enjoyed last spring and summer, but this time it will, God willing, be permanent and lasting in terms of finishing off the remaining bit of the COVID virus. Hospital capacity, we have been and remain in good shape here. You can see the current numbers and obviously more than sufficient need for the near, medium, and long term. The most important statistic at this point, as long as the COVID rates stay down, is the vaccination progress numbers. So I'll put that up here on the screen. We are at 69.7% of adults in the county that have received at least their first dose, and just under 60% of our entire population of about 180,000 people. You can do the math there and see that there are still tens of thousands of people who are eligible but have not been vaccinated. So please continue to urge and nudge and remind your neighbors and colleagues of the importance, not just to themselves and to their family and loved ones, but to the entire community of reaching that herd immunity point. It would be really, really disappointing and potentially dangerous if we get this close to reaching that herd immunity level, but don't quite get there because a small number of people decide not to be vaccinated. We've got to overcome these last hurdles. So what are we doing to do that? We're continuing our really full court press on our vaccination clinics, especially our walk-in clinics. So I'll put up the latest times and dates and locations of those coming up. We continue to be out there, and our team that's doing this work, I continue to commend them and thank them for their hard work and also their creativity and innovation in going to more and more creative places to bring the vaccine. So for example, tomorrow evening we'll be at Rondout High School. Tomorrow afternoon we'll be at Stewart's, which I'll talk more about in a moment. We're there today as well. We still have our Best Buy clinics on Saturday. We'll be at the Pride event in New Paltz at Hasbrook Park from 1 to 5 p.m. And then you can see the schedule going out at locations all across the county from Kingston to Marlborough to Shawangum, and then back at People's Place as well next week. So there's no excuse not to get vaccinated. We've got many locations and it's walk-in. Transit is free on our UCAT. For seniors and those with disability, we can do door-to-door service if you reach out and give us 24 hours notice. And if all of those options fail and you know someone that needs to be vaccinated, you can always call our Recovery Service Center and we can work with you to overcome whatever those barriers or challenges might be. That number is 845-443-8888. And thank you, it's on the screen as well. Appreciate that. The other thing that we're going to continue to do till we get through this is have a recurring, always standing Thursday afternoon and evening walk-in clinic at the Hudson Valley Mall at our Best Buy location. That's every Thursday from 3 to 8 p.m., where you can choose any of the three currently approved vaccines, Moderna, Pfizer, and J&J. Once again, Thursday afternoon and evening at the Hudson Valley Mall. And then finally, one of the creative clinics, most creative vaccine clinics we're doing, I think, and exciting is our ongoing partnership with Stewart's. So actually this afternoon as we speak, our team is at the Stewart's in Ellenville. We were last week at the Stewart's in Milton, and then tomorrow I'll be joining the team in Rosendale tomorrow afternoon at the Rosendale Stewart's, offering not only vaccine, but coffee or ice cream to the first 100 people who do stop by and get vaccinated. So please spread the word about that. That's a nice perk in addition to, of course, receiving a life-saving vaccine, which is arguably more valuable than ice cream, but we could debate that. All of this information about our vaccination sites and locations, frequently asked questions, how to sign up, all the transit options, all of that is at a single website. If you or anyone you know or love has questions, you can go to vaccinateulster.com. Vaccinateulster.com is the resource that has should answer all of your questions and more. But again, if you have questions, you can always reach out to us. My call to action for all of us and my urging is that we celebrate this progress and feel positive about this progress as we're now deep into the spring and getting towards summer here in the month of June, but that we not see that as a reason to sit back, but actually a reason to press and get through this final push to get the remaining folks vaccinated and to really get back on with our lives and address all the other challenges and problems that have been presented by the pandemic from an economic perspective, a social perspective, mental health, addiction, our young people in schools. All the other issues that have presented have not gone away, and we are absolutely continuing to work on those and will continue to work on them. And in some regards, the work on them is really only just beginning. So we'll keep everyone updated on that. That is all serious, heavy stuff, and after this last year, we also need some reason to just celebrate and be positive and have some joy and some of the best of summer in our life. So two exciting positive developments on that front that we've been waiting to make official. The first one, which I know many people are excited about, myself included, the Ulster County Fair is officially on and happening and is back after the disruptions of the pandemic. It is scheduled for August 3rd through August 8th. We'll be putting out a more detailed press release with additional information on this, but I want to thank our Ulster County Agricultural Society that runs the fair every year. They're currently working through and finalizing approvals from New York State for some set of pretty limited and reasonable COVID precautions. So we should be able to have pretty close to normal fair, maybe with some slight tweaks. But I really want to thank them for their work on that in advance, and of course the work that they'll do between now and during the fair and after. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at the fair. It'll be the first chance to bring our almost 2-year-old to the fair. He'll be 2 by then. So Theo will be at the Ulster County Fair as well. He was actually born just a few days before the fair the last time it happened in 2019. So we're looking forward to that and to seeing everybody there. And a lot more details will be coming on that. The other good news, as the weather starts to heat up, our Ulster County pool, which we were able to open with some restrictions last year, will also be reopening. That'll be happening on July 4th, Independence Day weekend. So that is another thing to look forward to that I know many in our community count on that pool for recreation, for some respite from the hot weather, and just a chance to get out and enjoy the summer. So that'll be happening. Again, some relatively minimal COVID precautions that really mirror the rest of the way the county government is operating. But for those that have been vaccinated, you'll be able to enjoy the pool normally. And for those that haven't, you'll still have to wear masks and maintain the distance just like in all the other county facilities. So that's another incentive to get vaccinated in that regard, and we're excited to get the pool open. I want to thank our DPW team that's been working towards that, and the whole team that works and will be working this summer at the pool for your work and your service to the county on that. The last piece of good news is a new state program that was just announced really over the weekend and over the Memorial Day weekend and on Monday. So I wanted to reiterate and make sure that everyone sees this and is aware of this. Basically, federal dollars that have been allocated for rental assistance for both renters and for landlords has now been officially implemented by New York State. It's called the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. You can see the details on the screen, but basically any home that can show they've been affected by COVID-19, which is pretty easy for all of us to show, is eligible for up to 12 months of past due rent, 3 months of future rent, and up to 12 months of overdue utility bills. So this program is being run and administered by the state, but as a county government, we really want to help and be there to support all of our residents in navigating this. So far, we've been getting pretty good feedback from our residents about the state website and the ability to set up. Applications are now being accepted. That was effective on June 1st. So the easiest way to do that, it's all linked through our Ulster County COVID page, also has this information and all these details. And for those that might have questions or issues, our Recovery Service Center team is now trained up and smart on this emergency rental assistance program. So please share this among, widely among your networks for folks that should be eligible for this relief. You can call our Recovery Service Center. That number is 443-8888. You can also go to our website. We'll put, if you don't mind, put that back up one more time. You can see both the New York State website there. Sorry to throw you off. If you can put up the emergency rental assistance one. If you get a chance to screen capture these links and share these out. So that's the state site there. You can see otda.ny.gov/ERAP, and then there's also our Ulster County site, which has a little bit more detail about how this will apply to Ulster County residents, even though it is a a state-run program. We're here to help our residents navigate that and make sure that you get the relief that you need as someone impacted by the pandemic. So that's additional good news and some economic relief, as we know the pressures have been building and building and building on so many in our community. So those are our major updates for today. As we've now, a few weeks ago, crossed the threshold of doing over 100 of these live updates, and we do these live thanks to the great team here. Starting next week, we'll continue to keep everybody updated, but we'll probably shift to a mode that's a little less resource intensive on our partners in terms of all the production that goes into making this happen. So you'll continue to hear updates from me and from our team on COVID progress and vaccination progress, but the format will just look a little bit different, and more details to come on that. So before we do that and wrap up this current format, I definitely want to thank and recognize, I mean, I usually do this, but give a special shout out and recognition to our entire Radio Kingston team that have been doing this work. Literally, we called them a day or two after the first positive case, and they were immediately on board and coming to help us communicate critical information to residents at a time when people really didn't know what to do and where to turn. So some of them aren't here today, but I want to by name shout out Kale and Daniel and Manuel. We're going to zoom the camera around and you can actually see there's Diane. There's Daniel. Manuel's going to jump in the screen here. This has really been I'd say an honor and a privilege to work with this great team that immediately mobilized in the midst of a crisis to make sure that critical life-saving information was being shared in a accessible and hopefully transparent and hopefully easy to understand way. But from a technical perspective, I'm so proud and appreciative of this team as I look around to all of them. I can definitively say we saved lives with the work that we did in getting this critical information out, whether that was helping people understand how to get tested, helping people understand how to follow the right precautions, ultimately where to go to be vaccinated, and to help build trust in our vaccination program and progress. So I really want to thank the whole team that's helped us bring these updates to you. Again, we're not going away, we're not through this yet, but the format will look just a little bit different. The good news is as we get into the spring, deeper into the spring and the summer, with more activities happening and more things happening, there are lots of other positive events that we want to be broadcasting and sharing. So this will free up the team to do some of that as well. But again, we're still remaining focused on getting us through this last bit, and none of our work will be stopping. Thank you also, as always, to all of our frontline workers for what you've done the last 15 months now plus, and what you're continuing to do. And again, I'll reiterate, for those of you that might be hesitant about vaccines or need a little bit of a nudge, there are tens of thousands of your neighbors and community members that have to show up to work every single day and continue to put themselves at risk to keep our economy running, to keep our society running. Once again, if not for yourself, please consider being vaccinated to protect them and to keep them safe, along with the vulnerable members of our community. If you haven't gotten a chance to see it, it came out over the weekend. We had a World War II veteran, Ulster County resident, Mr. Bill Swetow, who's currently a resident at Woodland Pond down in New Paltz, do a very powerful and compelling public service message to the community. And we've shared that on our social media and things, and we can reshare it. But as someone who enlisted in the Army after Pearl Harbor, he really reminded folks 75 years later of what's at stake for us as citizens and residents with a responsibility to serve everyone and to look out for everyone, and essentially said, well, if we can storm the beaches at Normandy and fight Nazis and other bad folks and answer that call we now, 75 years later, can essentially do what is a relatively easier and much less risky thing, which is to be vaccinated. So if you haven't got a chance to see that, he's much more articulate and compelling than me, clearly, and check that out as well and share that among your friends and continue to urge and encourage and nudge each other to be vaccinated. That is it for the update this week. We will see you next week in a slightly different format. And in the meantime, as always, with any questions, you can call our Recovery Service Center. We'll put that information up. And always know that we're here to support you in whatever ways you need as we continue to get through this pandemic. Stay safe and healthy and resilient, and we will see you next week.